What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is January 6th of 2018. Well, folks, it's time for a daily update here on the DataDash channel, and today we've got a lot of different things to talk about. First and foremost, as always, we're going to take a look at market valuations in cryptocurrencies, as well as doing some technical price analysis on the market leaders. But along with that as well, we have some very big headlines to go through. First and foremost, Visa cutting the cord with their partnership with Wavecrest, meaning that many cryptocurrency debit cards out there on the market are going to be rendered worthless. More on that later on in the video. As well as that, we're going to be talking about how Merrill Lynch, one of the largest Wall Street firms, has gone out of its way to block any investment opportunities for Bitcoin to its clients. Does Merrill Lynch know something we don't? More on that as we go throughout the video. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the daily update. So, of course, as always, we're going to dive into valuations first. And guys, again, we are continuing to make all-time highs in cryptocurrency markets, heading steadfast towards the big even of $800 billion in valuation. And practically speaking, we're only about $200 billion away from our trillion-dollar mark. I mean, guys, this is going to be historic if we can make it up to $1 trillion. And I think that as we're seeing right now with Bitcoin starting to lever up and some of the overvalued altcoins flushing out capital down towards more undervalued projects, we could easily see this happen. I think we're going to see this with Bitcoin heading to 10K, as well as altcoins holding strong on their USD valuation and maybe having some new gainers come in. Though, that being said, because Bitcoin is going up, the Bitcoin comparative still might drop for a lot of altcoins. Nonetheless, though, valuations will probably hold. And because of that, I think we're still steadfast to reach $1 trillion. Really depends, though, if we can hold a lot of the valuation in this market, because altcoins have ramped up a ton of valuation as Bitcoin has lost dominance. And it also is going to depend, like I said, on Bitcoin coming back to the highs. It's a question of whether or not the momentum's there, if there's enough buy-side action after this correction, and if people still see Bitcoin being able to go over 20,000. So, again, we'll have to see. But Bitcoin has remained resilient comparative to altcoins, and the whole debate and fight whether or not Bitcoin is the ultimate hodl or if your altcoin positions are the best. As we can see, it's started to correct a little bit over the past few hours as altcoins have gained a little bit of steam back. This has come from both market leaders as well as all of the other coins in the space. But Bitcoin right now, holding strong, doesn't look like it wants to break to new lows on the dominance, and looks like it's probably going to press towards 20,000 over the next few days. Speaking of Bitcoin, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a technical analysis approach to it. We can see, as always, that this had about 6 days where it bounced off of the 50-day, and now we're having a slight day to the side. This is pretty common after more than 10% pop to the upside in price action, and we can see this happen over the past few days on this uptrend. You had 2 up days like this. You had a sideways day where the price action didn't move too much, and then you have a continuation. You have a bounce off the 50-day, you have a little bit of red, and then you have a continuation. So this is very common in regards to a very fast-paced uptrend like Bitcoin is seeing. And I think we're gaining some of that momentum now because for the past 2 weeks, whereas this thing has been on a rocket for the past few months, has actually been kind of cooling down, kind of staying on the quiet side and waiting for something to carry it higher. And I'm hoping that we see a little bit more volume coming on Bitcoin because, to be fair, the volume is relatively low right now, and I thought we'd see a little bit more, but nonetheless, it's not phony volume. It's a decent level of trading volume, and I guess it depends on what exchange you're looking at as well. So Bitcoin's holding good. Think we're going to retest back up here and maybe even break 20,000. That would be really cool, but we'll have to see if it has the momentum for it. Now, I want to take a look at the market leaders as always. I know many of you have been asking me about Ethereum. Some people are just now getting into Ethereum and asking me, Nick, is this a good buy? We found support here on the 200-day right here on the daily. And though this is good, this is what we want to look for if we want potentially more upside, it is going to have to hold on this 200-day. Now, it looks right now like it could do that. It's still a good 500,000 satoshis above going through, and breaking down to this level at 5,500,000. However, if we get that down day, if it can't keep up with the momentum of Bitcoin going to 20K, if it does do that, I could see Ethereum obviously getting some resistance. And the biggest thing that is making me feel like Ethereum is going to see a heavy amount of resistance at this level, and it's going to be a struggle to get back up to this Satoshi comparative and go higher, is because of its USD valuation. And right now, we're testing, for the past 3 days, we've been testing with this area of $1,000. This is a very, very big psychological barrier for Ethereum. Not to mention, it's already gone from 300 to $1,000. That's a pretty big leap up, to be fair, over the past, pretty much past 2 months. So because of this, we have to ask whether or not Ethereum is not only worth fundamentally $1,000 per Ethereum, but if it has the momentum to carry higher. Again, it's had a very nice uptrend, not downplaying Ethereum, but even its Bitcoin comparative, as we take a look back here on, we can go back to Poloniex, it's had a really nice run up back here from the lows. It's more than doubled. So you have to ask yourself whether or not you want to take the risk of these levels. I'm not looking to add to Ethereum here. The area to add was down here when it was cheap. But nonetheless, you could try to maybe do a swing trade or long-term investment on it. If that's what you want to play, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Let's go ahead here and take a look at Ripple. Ripple still looking like it's continuing to topple over. Again, guys, you're going to get some dead cat bounces where things come back up a little bit and the longs will go, oh, see, it's coming right back up to the highs at 23,000 Satoshis. Well, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's starting to roll over again. Again, guys, you do not want to buy something when it's already all the way up here. It's just at least my opinion. You can do whatever you want, but this is a big repeat of the previous run-up back in April and May. Again, history tends to repeat itself. Look towards past price action, because I can tell you that 90% of investors are not looking this far back. They're looking at the past few days. They're looking at the hourly. They're looking at the headlines. They're getting caught away in the hype. They're not looking back at history, which tends to repeat itself. And we could very well see Ripple repeat what it did back in May and June and July and the continuing months to follow, which is not a pretty picture. All right, so let's go ahead here and take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash, I've gotten a lot of people asking me about because now that it's gone through a nice flagging correction and now we've made contact with the 50-day, which we talked about in the previous video. A lot of people have been asking me if I'm optimistic on making an investment in it. Not so much an investment, but I feel like this is the level if you wanted to try to swing trade Bitcoin Cash, that this could be a level for it. But again, you're going to need some volume to come in. The volume is what always really pushes Bitcoin Cash higher. However, the buyers do come in usually either around this area, as we've seen in the past over here, or if it comes back down here towards the 10 million Satoshi range. Depends if you want to take that risk. That could still be a 33% decrease comparative to Bitcoin. And if it, again, can't keep up with the momentum of Bitcoin, then in that case, you could be playing with a pretty risky trade. I would definitely, if I were to trade this, probably buy it and set a stop loss at around the 100-day, because if it breaks below there, we're going to see what it did in the past, I think, and come back down here towards 10 million Satoshis or lower. So next up, let's go ahead and take a look at ADA BTC, Cardano. Cardano getting the correction that it needs, and to be fair, as much as I again love the project, with Bitcoin moving up, the valuation is still quite high. I think that this has still got a little bit ways to go down, but nonetheless, still love ADA long term, and it's no surprise to me as to why this project's been moving up. So kudos to those who are long term. IOTA BTC. IOTA looking like it's probably going to start taking a nosedive here. The wedge came through and we didn't get the breakout we were looking for. Definitely provided some good swing trade opportunities on this whole wedge pattern here. But to be fair, it looks like it's going through, and if it can't maintain on this 50-day, you're probably going to see it come down to correct towards the 150,000 Satoshi level around the 200-day. So anyways, that's going to be it for the main market leaders. But guys, let's go ahead and take a look at what's been trending. And going to the upside, we can definitely see Sub, which I'm going to be spending some time to talk about today because I've gotten a lot of people asking me about that. But we also see Litecoin, NAV, Icon, another one for long-term plays. And even, for example, Ripple and Dash, a few of the market leaders hanging in there, taking some upside after the dip that they've felt over the past few days. But I do want to spend some time today to talk about Sub, because many of you out there have asked me about my opinion on it, and talking about all the recent upside to it recently. Now, as you all know, I'm long-term on this one. Really believe in the Substratum project. I've done multiple interviews. I've been able to go visit the team out in Ohio, and it has just been an absolute privilege to get to meet the team, learn about the project, and really become a part of what Substratum is all about. I'm really excited to see the project launch in January, at least launch the beta, which will allow us to host nodes on our computers and start decentralizing the web. Now, here's the whole thing about Substratum here. A lot of you have asked me, Nick, is the valuation at this point? Is it overvalued? It's been on a parabolic, almost parabolic run up. Not exactly yet, but it's getting there. It's been having a very nice run up to the upside. And a lot of people have been asking me if this thing can sustain itself, if we've got more room to grow. And of course, I guess there's a sense of bias with it, guys. You guys know I'm very optimistic on the project. I see this doing well. I don't know if it's going to be today or tomorrow or the next week. I still see this going to higher levels because we have yet to get towards the moment where they're launching the beta to host your node. Again, I'm holding most of my position at least until we get towards that point. I believe in Substratum. I want it to be one of my long-term holdings, and the reason being is because it's been one of my best performing altcoin positions. I have held Icon. I've held a variety of other players in the space, but there has been nothing performing like Substratum. And I think it's because we still see in the cryptocurrency space, as we go down this list, players in the space that do not have any real technology. We have players that don't offer anything new to the playing field. And because of that, Substratum, which is sitting here at 69, is something that actually does offer technology, something that offers something new. You still have players like Redcoin being valued at $645 million. It's ridiculous. Again, don't mean to just rail on Redcoin there, but again, it might seem like I have a sense of bias with it. You got to do your own research, you got to read the white paper, and you got to learn what the project's all about. But I'm glad to be a long-term holder in it. I think it's going to continue to perform well. It's one of the few altcoin positions I still believe in the market that is undervalued. And that goes again with my other long-term positions like Icon and things like that. But again, you've heard me talk about it enough. Just wanted to say that I'm not getting caught up in the fact that it's moved up a lot in the short term. I believe in this over the long term. So I'll leave it at that. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the headlines here. Visa suspending Wavecrest status as a partner with the company. So what does this mean for those of you out there who are using a variety of different crypto credit cards? Sorry, tough out of luck. Now, keep in mind that this doesn't mean that your money is so much lost. A lot of companies like CryptoPay, Bitwala, and 10x, and a variety of other different cryptocurrency cards are going to be doing everything they can if there's any kind of worries about funds in your account or anything like that. But you should be fine. It just means that the cards will not be able to be used anymore because Wavecrest is getting its partnerships with the company terminated. And this is something I want to talk more than anything about really what this should make us think about in the long term of things, because this is something that I've growingly kind of learned about as I was thinking about 10x and I was thinking about other market players, and that's the fact that these other solutions, these crypto credit cards or debit cards, I have no problem with having a card of some sort that you can swipe. However, I truly believe that if we're dependent on Visa and MasterCard, it's not only kind of hypocritical, but along with that, it's not sustainable for the long term, because much like what we're seeing now, and it's good that it's happening early on, is if Wavecrest gets cut, and that's what we're all depending on, then our complete infrastructure, which is what we depended on, is going to collapse. The reason why I think it's hypocritical of us to kind of like say like, oh, we want to partner with Wavecrest, which then or use Wavecrest technology and then partner with Visa. The reason why I think that's kind of hypocritical is because we're trying to always compare ourselves with Bitcoin, for example, and other altcoins with scalability to a variety of things such as MasterCard, Visa, and PayPal. The reason we do that is because we want to eventually have a cryptocurrency that does not require the previous infrastructure of payment solutions and that can run on its own technology. And that's the whole point of crypto. And I think, as much as I thought it was like, it's a necessary step to get people into brick and mortar stores and to give them a leap advantage into spending their crypto. However, you're really still not spending your crypto. You're converting your cryptocurrency into USD very quickly, or whatever fiat currency you're using, and then spending it there. We should be encouraging retailers to take in cryptocurrency. How is that going to happen? Well, I think it's going to happen through very simple technology like we see with Square, for example, things that depend heavily on mobile technology that people have on a mass scale that can't just say, nope, we're not gonna support that. Now, I guess that's true. You might have to consider, I was just thinking about the fact with apps maybe and stuff, maybe how the App Store could block it. But again, I think with something like that, you'll always find a way around it. Whereas with Visa and MasterCard, if they don't support a partnership of a massive company, then, or at least partnering with them, then their technology is going to be rendered worthless. Again, we have to find ways around it. We have to find ways that do not depend on the old, archaic system of finance, and hopefully can scale to much more transactions than either Visa or MasterCard can. Okay, so that's the main thing I think we should take away. But again, I think whatever card you use, go to their Twitter page, go ahead and look into what they're responding. They have a ton of articles. Bitwala, CryptoPay are all recently making claims towards the whole situation, and they're trying to make it as smooth as possible. All right, so last but not least, Wall Street Buzz, Merrill Lynch bans Bitcoin from all its clients. So why would Merrill Lynch be doing this? Well, I would assume that it's probably the risk factor. As you go through, they have they said supposedly the concerns were pertaining to suitability and eligibility standards of this product, according to the international memo reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. So, look, we can go on about this forever. We could go through some type of details as to why they're doing this. But the fact that they banned over 17,000 advisors from Merrill Lynch from at least making a slight recommendation or giving the opportunity for investors under Merrill Lynch to trade the GBTC ETF, which is basically an ETF that holds a portion of Bitcoin per share of the ETF. It was one of the few ways that you had a stake in owning Bitcoin in Wall Street, or for the average everyday common man who doesn't know how to open up a Coinbase account or anything like that and is more comfortable with ETFs and stocks. But the question as to why they'd be doing this, I feel yet again it's a debate between the banking community of supporting Bitcoin, or maybe it could be that they think it's in the better interest of their clients and the risk factor. And if that's the case, well, I really would much rather not have Merrill Lynch, the company who had made such risky investments back in 2008 during the crash, that they had to get bought up by a larger competitor to tell me whether or not I can take risk on things, or that my advisor or accountant or whatever it is within the company wants to recommend something to me. I'd much rather decide on my own rather than have the trust of Merrill Lynch. But, maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe the banks know better. Anyways, I could rant and rave on that forever. But anyways, guys, that's it for the daily update. Thank you all so much for watching. If you all have anything you want to say in regards to what we talked about today, in regards to Merrill Lynch, in regards to the Visa suspension of Wavecrest, please leave a comment down below and get a discussion going. I want to hear from you guys out in the Data Dash community. But until then, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned.